Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Mayor and City Council Workshop for the City of Taneytown on this Wednesday, August 9th, 2023. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Lead us in that. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We will now proceed with the roll call. Please let it be noted that Council Member Foster is not in attendance today due to a personal issue. Other than that, everybody else is here and accounted for.
Yes, sir.
I will now move to read the closed meeting minutes from July 10th, 2023. On the date of July 10th, 2023 at 8:07 p.m. at City Hall, there was a motion made by Councilmember Tillman, seconded by Councilmember McCarron, to enter into the discussion of the employment, assignment, promotion, discipline, demotion, compensation, removal, resignation, or performance evaluation of appointees, employees, or officials over whom it has jurisdiction, or to consider the acquisition or any other personal matters that may affect one or more specific individuals. In addition, it was also to consider the acquisition of real property for a public purpose and matters directly related thereto. Topics discussed were the discussed negotiations for real property to be attained for a public purpose and provide guidance to staff on the matter and an ongoing personnel matter. Persons in present were the mayor, city manager, clerk, attorney, and all council members. Clerk Kelman was excused from the meeting at 8:40 p.m. Actions taken at the closed session. Council gave directive to Attorney Gullo to handle negotiations at a cap for the purchase price of a subject property. Disclosing the details at this time will subvert the purpose of the Open Meetings Act. Council accepted the proposed. Am I supposed to go into that, Jim? Yeah. Council accept the proposed professional improvement plan for the city manager. There was a motion to adjourn at 9:59 p.m. by Councilmember Tillman with a second by Foster, carried 5-0. Mr. Gullo, does that suffice the?
Yep, that is fine, Mayor.
Sounds good. Next on our agenda, we have the review of the minutes on the July 5th, 2023 and July 10th, 2023 regular meetings and the July 10th, 2023 closed session. Is there any discussion or comments on those? Hearing none, we will proceed forward. Tonight, I have a series of items that we're going to go through. I got to do a bunch of reading and stuff first. There will be a proclamation and certificates of recognition for the 10U Maryland Monarchs. I'm going to go ahead and read those off so we don't have to go into each one individually if you guys are all fine with that. I'll start with the proclamation. Whereas the 10U Maryland Monarchs have showcased extraordinary skill and dedication accumulated in their achievement as the 10U National Softball Champions, reflecting the values of teamwork and mutual respect instilled by the program. Whereas their success not only serves as an inspiration to the Taneytown community, but also underscores the program's invaluable service in fostering community spirit, promoting physical fitness, and imparting essential life skills. Whereas the unwavering dedication of the coaches combined with the sacrifices made by the parents has been instrumental in guiding the team to their championship victory, exemplifying the spirit and camaraderie that defines our city. Whereas the city of Taneytown deeply acknowledges the contribution of all those involved, recognizing their commitment as a testament to the spirit of service that characterizes our community. Now I, therefore, Christopher G. Miller, Mayor of Taneytown, do hereby congratulate the 10U Monarchs on their outstanding achievement and commend everyone associated with the team for their dedication and for elevating the honor of our city. In witness on the proclamation, you will see the seal of the city of Taneytown, and it has been fixed on this day of August 9th. I will now go into the certificate of recognitions for both the coaches and the players. I have certificates to be presented to all the members of the Taneytown, or the Maryland 10U Monarchs. It says, in recognition of your exceptional skill, dedication, and sportsmanship as a member of the 10U Maryland Monarchs, your contribution to the team's journey to become the 10U National Softball Champions has brought honor to our city and serves as an inspiration to your peers and your community. Your hard work, discipline, and commitment to the teamwork embody the values of our community and the spirit of youth sports. These certificates acknowledge your outstanding achievement and your significant role that you played in the monumentous accomplishment. Congrats on your well-deserved success. These certificates are being awarded to the following players: Ava Ritz, and I apologize again if I butcher any names here, Aubrey Hennigan, Addison Harris, Abby Riley, Braylon Gill, Amaya Gladfelter, Kenzie Dembski, Lindsay Stuffle, Charlotte Flanagan. Again, I apologize for any butchering of names. And then I also have one for the coaches that's going to be awarded. The certificate is presented proudly in recognition of your exceptional dedication, guidance, and commitment as a coach of the 10U Maryland Monarchs. Your tireless efforts and mentorship have been instrumental in leading the team to become the 10U National Softball Champions, bringing honor to our city. Your investment of countless hours in training, mentoring, and guiding the team exemplifies the spirit of service that characterizes our community. These certificates acknowledge your outstanding contribution and significant role that you played in this momentous accomplishment. Congratulations on your well-deserved success. These certificates are being awarded to Manager John Gill, Coach Dave Hennigan, Coach Jeremy Ritz, Coach Mindy Gill, Coach Cam Dembski, Coach Mike Gladfelter. So let's go ahead and get those ready. I also have a certificate from the commissioners of Carroll County for you guys, so I'll go over that once we get it up here. Okay, just so as we're reading out the names, you guys can approach this way, and then we're gonna kind of line up here for a picture and award the certificates and everything like that.
I can just use my camera and send them. I can just do my phone and I'll send them. All right. Here we go.
30 years, 32.
Okay.
So first, I'm going to be going through the coaches to bring them up here first, and I'll bring up the players after that. First, I have a Mike Gladfelter. And we'll invite everybody at the end to kind of gather together. Next, I have Coach Cam Dembski. Next, I have Coach Mindy Gill. Next, I have Coach Jeremy Ritz.
It's not here.
Not here.
Either is David.
Okay. Oh, he's next. Did you want to take those?
I can hold them for you.
Next, I have Manager John Gill. now I'll be
It
going
is.
into the players. First up, I have Charlotte Flanagan. Next, I have Lindsay Stuff. Next up, I have Kinsey Dembski.
Oh, I love it. Great accuracy.
Oh, man. And if you can whip the ball. And
That's
Anna
really funny.
you
Gladwell.
can put him in the
Next, I have an Abby Riley. Next, I have an Addison Harris. Next, I have an Aubrey Hennigan. Next, I have an Ava Ritz.
She's not here.
Braylon Gill.
Well, riding by on the tractor place, playing big, playing softball.
So the next two things are for the team as a whole. I'm not sure if you guys want to all come up to get them and get pictures with them. First up, I will do the City of Taneytown proclamation. Whereas the 10U Maryland Monarchs have showcased extraordinary skill and dedication accumulated in their achievement as the 10U National Softball Champions, reflecting the values of teamwork and mutual respect instilled by the program. And whereas their success not only served as an important inspiration to the Taneytown community, but also underscores the program's invaluable service in fostering community spirit, promoting physical fitness, and imparting essential life skills. And whereas the unwavering dedication of the coaches combined with the sacrifices made by the parents has been instrumental in guiding the team to the championship victory, exemplifying the spirit of camaraderie that defines our city. And whereas the city of Taneytown deeply acknowledges the contribution of all those involved, recognizing their commitment as a testament to the spirit of service that characterizes our community, then therefore, I, Christopher G. Miller, Mayor of Taneytown, do hereby congratulate 10U Maryland Monarchs on their outstanding achievement and commend everyone associated with the team for their dedication and for elevating the honor of the city. This is for y'all. And I got one more for y'all. This is a certificate of recognition awarded from the commissioners of Carroll County. They weren't able to be here tonight due to scheduling conflicts, but they asked me to award it on their behalf. This certificate is awarded to the Taneytown Maryland Monarchs 10U 2023 Youth Softball Nationals Champions. In recognition of their great accomplishment, become the 2023 Youth Softball National Champions. Your teamwork, sportsmanship, and tenacity are an inspiration to everyone. Congratulations on your well-deserved victory. Players Ava Ritz, Aubrey Hennigan, Addison Harris, Abby Riley, Braylon Gill, Charlotte Flanagan, Amaya Gladfelter, Kinsey Dembski, Lindsay Stuffel, and to the coaches, Dave Hennigan, Jeremy Ritz, Mindy Gill, Cam Dembski, Mike Gladfelter. It is presented by Ed Rothstein, or Commissioner Ed Rothstein, Commissioner Kenneth, oh boy, I butchered the names, Skyler, Commissioner Tom Gordon, Commissioner Michael Gurin, and Commissioner Joe Vigalotti. This is for y'all as well, so.
I don't want to be in the background. I'm gonna move so that I'm not weirdly sitting here. Sitting back there. Just like, can you squeeze behind? Shove your way over there.
Congratulations, y'all. Good job, girls. Way to go, way to go. Yeah, good athletics. We are going to enter a 5-minute recess while the halls kind of clears for everybody to receive their certificates and everything like that. So you guys are good. No, thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Congratulations. We are now back in session, and we are actually heading into a certificate of recognition for Haley Ingalls. I'm going to read off some stuff first, and then we'll go from there. The certificate reads, "This certificate is proudly presented to Haley Ingalls in recognition of your exceptional dedication, organization, and commitment. Your tireless efforts in orchestrating the Taneytown Police Department's National Night Out have not only resulted in its tremendous success, but have also showcased the spirit of the community and unity in Taneytown. From coordinating the presence of food trucks to the awe-inspiring helicopter landing, from the captivating fire department demonstration to the delightful face painting for our young attendees, every detail of the night bore the mark of your meticulous planning and dedication. Your prowess in gathering sponsorships further amplified the event's success, ensuring a memorable experience for all. This certificate acknowledges your outstanding contribution and your significant role that you played in making the event an unforgettable experience for all attendees. Congratulations on your well-deserved success, and thank you for making it an awesome night for Taneytown." And I guess that's a clap. So now let's present it, I guess.
Got it.
Congratulations. Just to make a quick statement real quick on as far as the certificates of recognition go, those are awarded directly from the Mayor's Office of Taneytown, and those are done by me, awarded by me on behalf of the city of Taneytown. Next on the agenda, we have council member statement regarding conflicts of interest on agenda items. Do we have any?
No conflicts?
Next, we have public comment pertaining to non-agenda items. If you have a comment regarding to anything not on the current agenda, please feel free to come forward, state your name, state your address. Anything not on the agenda that's over on the table.
Jim Thomas on Deal Road. I just had a question, and I haven't been here for a month or so, so I'm not sure of the status of the Main Street Committee. And I don't answer tonight, but I just want to keep that in front of you all in terms of getting that rolling. And so that's basically a question about that.
Just to touch base on that, Jim, do you remember the established date? It's the last Wednesday of this month, and the last Wednesday of every month going forward is going to be their hard set date for meeting. We did go and get that settled out, that they are going to be meeting on a hard set date, which is the last Wednesday of every month. And that starts this month and should continue going forward. So it is going to get going.
Thank you.
Yep.
Bill Eisenberg, 436 East Baltimore Street. Council, what's the updates on the traffic lights up at the square, you know? Just for example, today, just 2 o'clock in the afternoon, was backed up to the Sunoco station. I know it's an ongoing problem. I know the state seems like they don't want to work with us. Tell me if I'm wrong. Just want to give you.
Just a quick update on it. The state is working with us on it.
Good.
They're out here just at the end of June, and we've been in email communications with them. As far as like something like turn signals at that cross go and everything like that, we're still in communications with the state, working out what details on that would look like. They're not totally against it. The idea is that they just have some requirements that we're not sure.
Sure.
Again, it's still a back and forth conversation currently. So it is being worked on.
Thanks.
Did anybody else have extra comment on it?
No, I just would say that they are coming out to do another study, but they're going to wait until after school comes back in so that they can factor in the effect of the school buses and stuff. So there'll be nothing happening for a little while, but they do plan to come back and do another study and take a look at it. And they understand what our concerns are.
Do we have any additional public comment on non-agenda items? This is anything that isn't on the agenda that's over on the table there. Hearing none, we are going to proceed down to the resolution, ordinances, and agreements. First up, we have ordinance 05-2023, A, Community Village Technical Amendments. These are just amendments to the community village ordinance that we saw last month. Jim, did you want to touch base on that at all?
Yep, if you can skip past all the whereases and so on, the gist of it is that we really should have included the words "or townhouses" twice in that paragraph instead of just once, and this technical correction takes care of that. So it's really in trying to kind of hastily clarify that townhouses were not lumped in with multifamily dwellings last month. We should have just included it twice in that paragraph to make it clear.
Any comments, questions, or concerns from the council? Hearing none, we're going to move to the next one. This is ordinance 06-2023, clarification of dwelling types. My understanding is this is just kind of defining, separating the single and multi-dwellings, correct?
Exactly, yep. It just kind of segregates the single-family type dwellings from the multifamily dwellings in the definition section. So what's before you in the red text is new text that's going to be added. So we're just kind of adding those categories and also clarifying that an attached dwelling is the same thing as a townhouse.
Sounds good. Any additional comments, questions, or concerns from council?
And just procedurally, the first one is a technical amendment, so that does not need to go back through public hearing and everything. We can approve that one Monday night. The second one is brand new, so that does need to go through hearing next month and go before the planning commission, et cetera.
Sounds good. Open it back up, public comment, or comment from the council, discussion, questions, concerns, nothing.
Closing some loops.
Sounds good. Heading on to the next one. This is ordinance 07-2023, fiscal year 2022-2023, budget amendment number 3. My understanding is some of the items are just being moved over to fiscal year 2024 because they weren't complete in fiscal year 2023. And then
So-
some additional.
Right, so the FY23 one, we realized some additional revenue with the growth that we had with the latter part of Meads Crossing last year. We've had more water and sewer usage, so the billing revenue has gone up with that. And we also earned more bank interest than was originally anticipated, so those are increases on the revenue side. Because of those increases, we were able to reduce what we plan to use from fund balance by $385,000. And then that is offset on the, and this is utility fund I'm starting with, I should have clarified that. We have an increase in materials and supplies for chemical use at the treatment plant and also to costs associated with emptying the digesters in preparation for the dewatering project. So they basically are a net. But again, the good news is we're taking less from fund balance than we anticipated. On the general fund portion, we received more income tax revenue than anticipated. And also, again, bank interest on the general fund increased beyond what was projected. And decrease in revenue, since we've rolled Bollinger Park, some of that money into fiscal year '24, we didn't pull that from the park impact and put it into revenue this past year. And so we're looking at also a decrease in the fund balance that we needed to use for the capital items. On the expense side of that, we had the Syrian land purchase that we acquired to secure the right-of-way for the bypass, or a portion of that. And then that one, let's see, that one also represents a decrease in the streets capital projects. On police, we are deferring police cars that were expected to come in FY23 that won't be here until the current fiscal year. Fingers crossed on that. It seems to be quite a struggle to get police cars these days. And the last thing there is on Bollinger Park, $300,000 that the project wasn't completed in FY23. So that's the decrease on the expense side. So hopefully that summarizes for you. The fiscal year '24, which is the next one, shall I just run right into that?
Yeah, if you want to just run right into it.
Okay. On the utility fund side, revenues, let's see. Okay, the $200,000 item, that is the sewer rehabilitation portion of the project that was carried into FY24. That's offset Grease and red. Let's see. Right, so that's just carried over to the same project code, but in FY '23. On the general fund, the first item, grant revenue parks, that corresponds with the grant revenue decrease in FY '23. That was Bollinger Park, again, rolled to FY '24. And the other increase, 65,000, is project open space increase, where we actually received more than we had originally projected.
Love it when more grant money moves
Yep.
in.
So on the expense side there, we're partially offsetting, let's see, the increase in fund balance by the police cars not received in FY '23 as expected, and also for Bollinger Park not being completed in FY '23. So we're rolling that $335,000 forward. And also general fund parks increased by $101,000 for the tot lot project increased and the field house and lighting projects. So again, it's a wash between the revenue and expense side. So, and again, as usual, largely just rolling things into the next, from one year into the next. So I know I kind of ripped through that kind of fast, but if anybody has questions, shoot me an email, give me a call.
Questions, comments, or concerns from council on those items? Hearing none, we are proceeding into the resolutions that are up for adoption on Monday. We have Resolution 2023-12, water allocation for August. Does anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns from council regarding that?
An extra lot.
Jim, any comments from you regarding it?
No, pretty much status quo on that one.
Yeah, quiet report.
Next, on adoption resolution 2023-13, nomination of resident agent. This is required by the state through a resolution from council. Is there any comments, questions, or concerns on that? Or Jim, did you have additional comments that you wanted to make?
We just need to officially designate someone to receive, to be served for the city should that occasion arise, and also to be the official correspondent and contact person. And that, of course, will be the city clerk.
Once again, questions, comments, or concerns from council? Hearing none, I'm going to pause before we go into the reports. I want to be able to give Major Stem here a chance to get out of here before we start getting into the lengthy stuff. So I want to go into kind of why Major Stem is here to begin with before he does his introductions and everything like that. Major Stem is from the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and will be joining the Taneytown Police Department starting August 7th, which was this Monday. He'll be collaborating on the enhancement of administrative efficiency at our police department in key areas such as review and update of departmental police policies and procedures, audit of evidence storage, submission and release, review of training records and MPCTC requirements, exploration of grant opportunities, ensuring compliance with legislative mandates, examination of citizen and complaint and internal process, development of equipment replacement schedules. The reporting structure for this will be that Major Sim will be reporting directly to our city manager. I'll be providing bi-weekly and monthly reports that'll be passed on to council as well so they can be aware of what's going on with it. Next, financial implications is a collaborative effort with the Sheriff's Department out of the county. There's no additional cost to the city, and Major Stem is serving here in Taneytown to help us catch back up on some administrative matters. The long-term goal of this collaboration is to increase training opportunities, career advancement, and overall departmental efficiency. We'll also be looking to address some of the police chief situation. Improving the department's climate is also a priority. Ultimate goal is to make Taneytown Police Department as a model for others and ensuring that it serves the community to the best of its ability. We'll continue monitoring, evaluation of the collaboration's progress. We'll get the reports, council will see the reports, and I'll be informing the public of how the progress is going with the collaboration, what's come of it, and everything like that. And again, any comments, questions, or concerns, never hesitate to reach out or ask. Major Stem, if you would like to introduce yourself to the council.
Thank you, Mayor. So I won't go into what I'm doing because you covered it quite well. So just a real quick introduction of who I am and where I come from. My name is Dave Stem. I'm a major with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office. I run all operations for the Sheriff's Office. I've been in that role for just under 2 years. Actually, it'll be 2 years next week. So anything that has to do with a uniform or somebody wearing a gun, they fall under my purview, under my indirect command. I've been with the sheriff's office since 2004. I've been a police officer for 21 years, so 20 of my policing years have been with the sheriff's office. I've come up through the ranks. I am a 2012 graduate of Northwestern School of Police Staff and Command. I hold a bachelor's from Mount St. Mary's University in Criminal Justice and a master's from Millersville University in Emergency Management. I'm excited about this opportunity. I just got done a similar opportunity with the Westminster Police Department where I learned an awful lot. Everything I'd done prior to going there was operational, so I was real good at directing folks to go out and do community policing and write tickets and interact on the community policing side of things, but I was not very good at the administrative side of things. But given the opportunity at Westminster for 6 months I was there, I was able to learn an awful lot, and it was a great opportunity. So I'm excited to be able to bring, on the heels of that assignment, bring my knowledge here to Taneytown and continue working forward to kind of enhance the administrative capabilities of the police department, work with you folks as governmental stakeholders. I'm a huge proponent in ownership and collaboration between all stakeholders, not only the community, but governmental partners and the officers that serve underneath the major and the city manager and the mayor and you folks. So I'm very excited for the opportunity. I thank you for the opportunity, Mayor, and I look forward to. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will send each of you my contact information with my personal phone number. I am married to my phone, sometimes to my detriment, my wife will tell you. But I will give you all my contact information. Anytime you have a question, a concern, please feel free to pick up the phone and call me. I'm happy to talk with you candidly. I'm happy to get information for you if you need it. And I really look forward to fostering a good relationship with each and every one of you and the citizens of the city of Taneytown. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Yes.
Just a couple questions, Major.
Yes, sir.
This was a little bit of surprise to council. We really, we got a little short email about this. But can you tell us what your goal is, what we're planning to accomplish while you're here?
Well, I could tell you a lot of things that I'm planning to accomplish, but you will probably fall asleep before I was done. So a couple of the big things. First of all, I want to introduce some collaboration between the two agencies through the Sheriff's Office and Taneytown Police. I've always told my folks down at the Sheriff's Office that Taneytown is kind of on an island. You don't have a lot of police departments that are close to you. So the Sheriff's Office is capable of certainly supplementing, backing up your officers. So I want that collaboration to grow. So we have some more presence, not only up here, but in the outlying areas of the city. I do really hope to foster some relationship building between the two agencies. And then holistically, just kind of look at the department, where it's been, where it's going, making sure that legislative mandates are being met, making sure that grant funding that the city can tap into is being taken advantage of. You may know or may not know, the state has mandated body-worn cameras for all police departments in Maryland by FY25. There's a ton of grants out there that the city can leverage that will save you folks an awful lot of money that we should look into, but there's some things we need to take care of in order to be eligible for that funding. So some of those are long-term goals that I plan on looking into, so we can tap into those funds. And then looking at policies and procedures and ensuring that, as you know, police reform has been a hot topic. Over the past couple of years, there's been a lot of stuff that's come out of Annapolis. Legislative mandates, so make sure that the policies and procedures of the police department marry up to those legislative mandates. So not only that as a legislative body you're protected if something happens, but that the officers are protected, and that also we're doing as a police department what we should be doing to satisfy the laws that come out of Annapolis. So Mayor, really that's kind of holistically what I'm doing. A lot of administrative stuff. I'm sure as I dive into some of those things, some things will kind of offshoot. I like to, I'm very interested in community policing. I'm very community policing oriented. I work for an elected sheriff, so he has 172,000 bosses. So it's smart to be community oriented. new community-oriented policing in the county. So we've really pushed that out to our folks. And I'm excited to kind of not only bring some of our ideas to the cities of Taneytown, but take some of what the city of Taneytown does and their police officers and reinstitute it back into the sheriff's office. Because I can tell you, I've been here 3 days so far, and I've learned an awful lot of what some police officers here do that are really good community policing tactics that I can take back and tell my folks, hey, we should probably be doing this. You guys do it very well here because you're in a small knit community, whereas we serve a rather larger population. So I'll be looking at that, not only what we can bring here, but also what I can take from here and take back to the sheriff's office and institute in my agency as well.
Thank you very much. Again, it's just a matter of enlightenment. Do you, I mean, we're in process of hiring a new police chief. And do you see yourself interacting with this new individual once he's on board?
Absolutely.
Or do you think you'll be, what do you, how do you anticipate your tenure here? Do you think you'll be here a month, 6 months? How long?
I guess till you get tired of me and tell me it's time for me to go. No, honestly, sir, I really can't answer that question. There's, again, I've only been here for 3 days, so about 24 hours to start looking at stuff. I don't know. I can't give you an answer because I don't know exactly how far into the weeds I have to look at certain things. And I can assure you, though, one thing is I won't leave here without me of making an improvement in what I've been asked to do. So I've always said I want to leave something better than I came into it. I won't leave here until I've done that, unless I'm, of course, asked to leave or pulled back. But so I unfortunately I can't answer that question. It may be 6 weeks, it may be 6 months. I'm not sure. But I would hope that as you folks move towards hiring a new police chief, I can be part of that process. And in doing so, I can work with the new police chief, whoever he or she may be, and continue to build relationships between our two agencies for the long term.
I look forward to any help you can give us. Thank you for agreeing.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really truly do mean that. It's an honor to me to have been asked by the sheriff to come up here. So thank you very much for the opportunity.
I have a couple of questions, Major Stem. Are you, are you still filling your role at, in the sheriff's office? Or is this now your full-time responsibility, or are you splitting time?
Sure, no, that's a really good question. No, this is my full-time responsibility. I'm very fortunate. I have 2 great captains that work under me. They have just done this for 6 months, so it's not any surprise to them to continue to run the ship down there, and they're doing so. This is my full-time assignment. You'll see me transition from time to time back and forth. I have to go in front of the commissioners tomorrow, for example, about an ordinance that was written that I'm proposing to them. So you'll see me down there every once in a while, maybe on TV or with the sheriff, but generally I will be up here full-time, Monday through Friday.
Speaking for residents of downtown, I can tell you that we welcome more community policing in the downtown area, but also especially in regards to traffic and to heavy truck traffic late at night. There are issues there that we'll talk about.
So it's funny you say that, and we can talk, but I just reached out to my Commercial Vehicle Enforcement Division folks today, and I think you'll be seeing some enforcement very soon.
Thank you very much.
So, yes, sir, absolutely.
Any additional comments, questions, or concerns from council for Major Stem?
Thank you, Mayor, I appreciate it, and I'll send you all an email with my contact information.
Thank you.
Thank you.
City Manager, do you want to lead us into the reports?
Sure will. Okay. Let's see, on capital equipment, just kind of going through the usual project list. The DPW trucks are at the dealership, so we're just waiting for them to fit into the upfitter schedule to get the truck bodies and in one case, the utility truck body, and another basically just truck bed equipment for the one that's replacing the more standard pickup truck that Director Smeek uses. Charter and code review, we already kind of covered this month's items for Community Village, just the technical amendment for one. Moving on to Roberts Mill Road and Broad Street. On Broad Street, all the water mains, all the services have been switched to the new water main. Storm drain work on Broad Street started on August 1st. On Roberts Mill Road, water main from Legion Alley to Tawny Drive is in, and service lines have been installed from Broad Street to Legion Drive, or Legion Alley, rather. Within the next 2 weeks, they'll be working on connecting service lines to houses between Broad and Tawny. After that, the water main work will continue between Baumgardner and Tawny. And let's see, after this, then they're going to move into the water main between Legion and Antrim. So it's kind of bouncing around a little bit, but they're putting in a section, then connecting all the laterals, then moving to another section, and kind of rinse, lather, repeat. So it's, the pace has picked up a bit now that they have more workers on there. And they still are, I mentioned in my weekly summary to you guys, but for the public, the contractor is going to be now working 5 days a week. They've been working 4 10-hour days and taking Fridays off. And they're going to be working at least half days on Friday, perhaps longer, depending upon what that day's activity, where a good stopping point is. It may be longer than a half a day. So hopefully we'll see the pace pick up a bit. And just a reminder to anybody listening, watching, whatever, if you don't live on Broad Street or Roberts Mill Road between, Roth and Antrim, avoid it, please. The roads are supposed to be closed to local traffic, but we know a lot of people are still using them as though nothing's going on. So the less traffic we can have there, the better. So if you don't live there, avoid it, please. Let's see. The sewer rehabilitation project is complete. The lining contractor finished their work last month. So now we're going to, as we make a little bit more progress on Roberts Mill and Broad Street, we will probably start to get involved in engineering for the FY24 sewer rehabilitation projects. So we're looking at the line that runs basically from West Baltimore Street down to the park, and then also, and that's a line that runs through people's backyards on the south side of West Baltimore Street. That's another old one that's been identified as problematic. And also there's still terracotta line in Memorial Park that we would like to replace. So we will start engineering on those in the next month or two in hopes of bidding it and getting that work done in FY24 as well. Just a quick note, you probably noticed some new greenery out front. An anonymous donor provided those. There were actually 6 of them, but we couldn't fit them all without compromising some visibility for people pulling out of the parking lot. So a couple of them were bounced over to the annex, but we'd like to extend thanks to that donor. We're doing our best to keep them watered. Fortunately, this weekend we got some rain, so I didn't have to run in on Saturday and Sunday. But I think that softens the look out front a little bit, so thanks to that individual. And let's see, that's it, unless anybody has questions for me.
Jim, I have one question. Do we have any updates on hiring for IT department at all?
Yes, Dan has received some resumes that are of interest, and we have some interviews scheduled for, I believe it's next week.
Okay.
So, yep, so it's, we'll of course see after the interviews, but Dan did have some candidates that looked good.
Good. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
The police cars, are we locked into wherever it is we're buying them from that's taking so long? Is there anything we can do to change suppliers and try to get that moving?
So we have 2 vehicles that are reserved for us that another entity backed out of. So apparently during the transition, when the former police chief resigned, there was basically that got dropped. There was like a window in which we were supposed to order cars and that window came and went without us realizing it during that transition period. When Major Mitchell reached out to the supplier, and we've been buying police cars and public works vehicles through the state bid, so there are designated dealerships that you can work with, so that does limit the flexibility a little bit, well, a lot. At any rate, the dealer had 2 vehicles that another entity had backed out of, and those are supposed to be coming to us. Now, they would be our FY '23 vehicles, and there's also a short window in which we can order the vehicles for fiscal year '24. So I know Major Mitchell is keeping in touch with the dealership on, when he can get that order placed, but apparently they only make that available for a brief window. I don't know why it's so different for police cars as compared to pickup trucks, but that's been our experience with it. But to get the state bid, we are kind of limited as to who we work with.
Thank you.
Any questions, comments, or concerns? I know you guys have already asked some. Hearing none. Questions, comments, or concerns regarding the departmental reports? Hearing none. Going down to legal, Jay.
Good evening, everybody. You can see from what the city manager was talking about, we've done a lot of the background work and to try to get things ahead. One of the items that we need guidance on is a follow-up on my to-do list, which concerns the property we bought from the Syrians for the Antrim Boulevard, the bypass. As you know, we bought it. It had to be added to existing property that the county owns. A year ago or so, we were trying to get the county to give us that property, and it just never happened because the county commissioner's terms ended before we could make it happen. So we really haven't started the process with the new county commissioners. The staff is aware of it, but they're not going to do anything until there's direction. The proper thing needs to be for the city to request formally from the county through a letter that you would like them to give it with all the nice reasons. So I need direction from you. I can draft the letter and we can get it sent to them from the mayor to the county commissioners, and then we can go from there. If that's something we want to do, which I thought it was, but we need to have it on the record.
I would say we need to do that.
Do we want to make a motion tonight for that? Assuming.
You can wait till Monday. I just want to make sure you know
Consensus.
that.
Monday's fine.
Yeah, if consensus is fine, I think we all agree we want to go ahead and get that done. Would that convey both properties or just the Syrian property?
It's all just one property. I mean, that's
That's right, they combined the two.
The only way we could get around doing a subdivision, which would have wouldn't made it possible with the deal, was to combine the two into one parcel, which the county owns. So, the nuts and bolts of it is the city paid for the parcel, but the parcel is owned by the county.
We essentially took acreage from one parcel that we paid for and we appended it to an existing parcel the county had, so that we didn't have to go through a subdivision process, and that's very difficult to do with a landlocked parcel.
Good.
Sounds good.
That's all I have for you tonight, and I'll see you on Monday.
On Monday. Next, we're going down to old business. We have chicken husbandry. Jim, did you want to touch base regarding
sure.
that?
Okay, just a couple quick things. We've talked about this off and on for quite some time. Councilmember Fuller provided a handful of sample ordinances from elsewhere in the state, and we had a couple ordinances from years previously when we had kind of looked into this a little bit, and it never went anywhere. So just having reviewed them, kind of picked out the things that we really liked about some of them, and we're looking at, here's the basic process that we're envisioning. We would like to have there be some educational component so people know what they're getting into. That they have an expectation how many years the chickens are going to produce eggs, what they need to do after that point, and so on. And there are a number of educational seminars people can take that give you a certification at the end that say, you know, I've taken this online class and completed it. So we want to require some kind of educational component. We've also reached out to the University of Maryland Extension Service to see if they might have any in-person workshops that they do either through 4-H or at the Ag Center. I know some of those classes have happened in prior years, but it doesn't sound like it's done with any regularity, but we're waiting for some information from the Extension Service. We'll use the usual city zoning certificate application. We're going to consider chicken coops and runs to be a structure, so they'll be subject to certain setbacks and so on. The applicant's going to review and sign a backyard chicken agreement that basically is going to talk about the animal welfare aspect of things, you know, that they're agreeing to care for them, you know, with meeting certain criteria, and that, you know, if they fail to do so, that their permit will be revoked. So we want to get their signature on something that states, here's what I agree to do. So they'll submit that, you know, their agreement, their zoning certificate application, and the required fee, whatever we decide that will be. And then once they establish the flock, they do need to register it with the Maryland Department of Agriculture. That's something any backyard flock is supposed to do. And we would like them to provide proof of that registration to the city within a certain number of days. We have been in touch with the Department of Agriculture just via phone. They asked us to formally, you know, submit something in writing, so we did, and hopefully we will hear back from them as far as what their typical turnaround time is. So, you know, if it takes them a week to send a card back out to the applicant, we'll say, give us proof within 30 days. If it takes them 30 days, we'll say 60, something like that. So that's the process we're envisioning. And, you know, just the basic zoning requirements, you know, setbacks and such. You know, we want to make sure, as with any zoning application, that it's signed by the property owner and not just a tenant in that scenario. Chickens, coops, and so on can only be in a rear yard. A coop must have 4 square feet at least per chicken, and there will be a run required or an enclosed area that the chickens can, you know, spend time outside of the coop. And everything we've seen is pointing to a minimum of 10 square feet per chicken. And then the chicken coop and run can't be any closer than 10 feet to a side or rear property boundary. We'd also like the distance from the coop to the principal structure or the residence to be at least 10 feet. Now that will, you know, make it unlikely or not possible for, you know, somebody with a very small yard to meet those setback requirements. So, but I think that's reasonable that, you know, not every property in the city is really ideal for having a backyard flock.
Yeah.
And then we thought, you know, 6 seemed to be a pretty standard number across the different ordinances. So, you know, we felt like that was certainly a reasonable number for a household to have. So some additional things we'll need to do, just, you know, we need to figure out what the fee is. There is going to be a little bit more involved with this than your typical fence or shed, so we might want to price it accordingly. And we'll need to kind of do some, you know, back office stuff to, you know, create the stuff in the zoning system and things like that. We'll have to work with the city attorney to make sure that we're not, you know, saying anything we can't in the agreement that we're going to ask them to sign. And, you know, we've kind of got the bones for it, so we'll plug that into ordinance format. And of course, then to update the fee schedule, we have to do that by resolution. So we can, you know, prepare that once we know what dollar amount we're going to set. So that's the basic idea. Really, the agreement is going to be the really critical part. And I think it was the Brunswick ordinance that, Judy, that you sent, had a really good addendum or appendix, I guess it was, that laid out a lot of that. So we think we can get a lot out of that particular one. So, but I don't think that level of detail needs to be actually in the code. So that's where we are. You know, if that basically sounds like we're heading in the right direction, you know, we can hopefully I will say hopefully next month. The ordinance part is easy. You know, setbacks are easy. You know, the format is that it's really going to be that agreement that might take a little extra time.
Few observations. When I saw this on the agenda again, I know we've been talking about this for 10 years or more.
At least.
My initial thought were pretty ambivalent. I really didn't care. You let people have chickens if they want to, be all right with me. As I go through this presentation and all the rules and regulations, we are really subjecting to the city to a lot of extra effort and cost in monitoring these kind of conditions. I mean, who is going to go out and measure the chicken yards and make sure we have 4 square feet per chicken? I mean, who's in charge of that?
Right.
The other thing is, I spent my whole career in agriculture. And part of my responsibilities were to make sure that our Southern States stores were in compliance with various regulations, particularly in areas that had heavy poultry operations. Many of you will recall over the, many years ago, it's been now, but we've had avian influenza that really destroyed the poultry industry in the South Branch Valley over in West Virginia and was devastating on the Eastern Shore as well. And the procedures that one had to go through even to perform normal functions made COVID-19 restrictions seem mild. You couldn't go into a store without sanitizing your shoes, and it was just a very difficult time. That avian influenza has been traced back to backyard flocks. And I'm afraid that if we allow backyard flocks, besides the management, making sure everybody follows the rules that we've outlined, and the rules are fine. If the fact that there's not going to be any roosters, it's a good idea. But suppose there is. Who's going to go out and grab that rooster and take him out? I don't know. To say nothing about what happens to the waste. What do we do with the chicken waste? I mean, chickens poop. And it's got to be disposed of. And where is it going to be disposed of? It can be disposed of in the trash can, or is it going to be spread on the lawn, or it's going to be put in a compost pile next to my fence where I have to smell it? I think we're just buying trouble to adopt this law. We've managed fine up until now. Why are we adding this burden on ourselves and on the staff? That's the main thing I have to say about it.
Right.
I'm not anti-chicken.
Right.
But I just think that practically speaking, this is going to open up a whole can of worms, no pun intended, for the city and our code enforcement people and our maintenance people and the list goes on and on. But that's just I would just as soon leave it like it is would be my recommendation. But I'd like to hear comments from other council members.
Those are all certainly valid concerns, but I guess it may have been the May or June meeting that consensus was to move forward and of the council was to move forward and develop an ordinance to permit it. So that's what we carried out. So at that, I'll leave it, up to council to discuss further if you care to.
Sure. Just to touch on a bit again, this all stems from an original conversation that goes back to, I think, May, where there was chickens being discussed, and it was posted that the city doesn't enforce the ordinance for chickens, which we really don't, because it's hard to enforce. Like you said, it is a troubling thing to try to enforce. But the idea is right now you can't have chickens. So if you're talking about enforcement, I mean, we're supposed to enforce that you don't have chickens. But we also can't be posting out that, hey, we just don't enforce this ordinance, go ahead and have your chickens. Because the next comment is, well, you don't enforce that ordinance, why are you enforcing this ordinance on me? We can't pick and choose which ordinances we enforce.
That's exactly right, and that's the point I'm trying to make. There, we've argued over the years, there should be livability standards for the apartments being rented in town. And the reason we don't adopt a livability standard ordinance is because we don't have the personnel to manage it. This is the same exact thing. We can't manage that ordinance. It would be beyond our capabilities.
Well, I think, yeah, this really will be like any other municipal infraction. And, having spent quite a few years doing zoning and code enforcement, I bristle a little bit at the, we don't enforce, but I will admit enforcement is not effective because we don't have somebody who's going to go out into somebody's backyard and grab the chickens and haul them away. What we will do is, we will advise people that call asking about it that no animal husbandry is prohibited currently, until something like this may pass. And if we get a complaint and we can verify that that condition exists, we will send a violation notice out. And it varies, there have been times that, if we were able to contact somebody, we start by talking to them. If we can have a face-to-face and talk through it, a lot of times people will take care of whatever the problem is. We also can send certified letters saying, hey, we've recorded this violation at your property, here's what you need to do to fix it, and if you don't, there could be fines. So that is a level of enforcement. But imagine if you got a speeding ticket and there was no process that follows up if you don't pay that speeding ticket. That's kind of the municipal code enforcement challenge. And maybe I shouldn't broadcast that, I don't know, but that's really the gist of it, is, imagine being a police officer and there is no judiciary system to prosecute anything. So it's very expensive for a municipality to prosecute its infractions. And in Carroll County, we don't have the luxury of somebody else doing it for us. In some counties around the state, they have a municipal infraction day, and they take like a half a day in court to prosecute municipal infractions. That doesn't happen here. So this will be like any other, health and sanitation code, if we see violations. But one thing that would be different about this, which is why we're kind of pushing to have this written agreement that they would sign, is that then we have some further step that they have, made this commitment and agree to these things, that we can go back and say, remember this form you signed right here? It says you'll do all these things and you're not. So either shape up or you're gonna have to get rid of them. So we felt like that gives us a little bit of a leg up on other enforcement, because we don't have that kind of a form when somebody builds a fence or, doesn't mow their lawn. We don't have anything that says, I agree to mow my lawn. So we tried to think through the enforcement piece and build in a little bit more than we normally have. But it's extra stuff, yes, absolutely.
Egg prices have come down, by the way.
Yeah, indeed they have.
I mean, ultimately, we will bring before you whatever you tell us to, so.
Yeah, my 2 cents on this, Jim, is that since we've been tacitly accepting chickens without ordinance, it opens us up to having to accept other things that we may not want to accept. And, guy over here has chickens, guy over here decides to put a cow in his backyard. We go to say he can't have the cow, he says, but you let this guy have chickens. So, that kind of carries it out to an nth degree, but there is an issue there that we open ourselves up to if we don't codify what we say we're going to allow.
Our charter is clear that there's no animal husbandry allowed within the city limits. So if people are keeping livestock or poultry in the city limits, we can enforce that. I'm not sure we can enforce this.
If council were to decide to switch gears on that, I would suggest that we add some language to our zoning code to clarify exactly what animal husbandry does include the keeping of poultry.
I think we're trying to resolve the ambiguity one way or another, and I thought we had come to a consensus that we were going to go forward with allowing chickens, but so if we're gonna do that, then we need to.
And the other thing is, does this just apply to chickens, or are ducks allowed? What about guinea hens? I mean, you know, the list goes on and on.
That's a good point.
So, I mean, it just,
And that's also, if we could, rather than say chicken, we could say backyard flock and leave it broader. The Department of Agriculture's, I think I've got a copy here. Yeah. The poultry registration form is the same thing for chickens, waterfowl, turkeys, pigeons, doves. So all one form, you just check the kind of bird you're gonna have as far as the Department of Agriculture goes. But I don't know if we want to go that route. So right now it says chickens,
or emus.
right? And certainly at the staff level, there are reservations about this, but again, we're
Six emus would be a lot of emus.
Be that if somebody puts something out to social media asking about a certain ordinance, if our code says that it's not allowed, then it's not allowed. We shouldn't lead people on to saying, hey, this is allowed because we don't enforce it. That's what has led us to this situation.
And certainly previous councils have given mixed messages to the public, absolutely. There has been discussion where some council members have said, well, what if we did this? And that sort of and there was never really any final yay or nay on which direction we wanted to go. And that leaves it as being a little ambiguous. So again, at the staff level, somebody calls, we tell them what the code says. Animal husbandry is prohibited. And I think that does discourage some folks. I'm sure there are folks that say, oh yeah, but I heard that, so-and-so around the corner's got them. Or, oh, it's and I've heard that folks have been told, well, if it's a 4-H project, in years past, when I went to investigate a complaint like this, was told, well, when we called the city however many years ago, they said it was okay to do it as a 4-H project. And that was like 10 years before I went to the house. But, so it's never been really clear. So clarity certainly would help one way or the other. And as I said, we'll do what you guys decide.
I mean, I don't care which way we go, but we need to go one way or the other.
It just needs to be clarified for people who are interested in the subject, so that, again, we're not sending mixed messages on what it actually is. But I guess we'll wait. Again, it was already consensus that we were going towards the
Right,
ordinance route.
consensus from a month or two ago was to go ahead and develop an ordinance to permit it, so.
I would continue down that
Okay.
path, and then let's see what it looks like at an end product and make.
And
a
this
decision.
is, the setback portion of this, et cetera, is going to be a zoning ordinance, so this will go before the planning commission. Once it's introduced, it'll come back here for a public hearing. The month after it's introduced, we'll have a public hearing at the workshop the following month, get public input, additional public input at that point, and we'll go from there.
Okay. Sounds good. Moving on to new business, monthly financial report. Any comments, questions, or concerns from council? Hearing none, moving on to the next subject, accounts payables. Again, any questions, comments, or concerns from council? Next, we're moving into the water discussion. This was from last month. We had an individual ask, is there anything that could be done about the water in town? We've been looking into it over the month, and we're still looking into it now. There's a couple of different things that I'm looking into was, the 3% charge that's being charged for billing. There's a type of insurance the city can get for irregular water bills and stuff like that. But again, these are all just preliminary things that we've been looking into. Honestly, it's been a pretty busy month, so we've been looking into it as we've gotten time to look into it. Have any questions or comments or concerns from council members regarding the subject? Anybody have any ideas?
Were there questions about water quality, or is this all about
I think
the
this is
cost?
more about cost.
Okay.
When we're looking at it, we're still relatively similar to the municipalities around us.
Yeah.
Again, the idea is what can we do to help alleviate those abnormal water bills is a big one for me. That's something I've been taking the time to try to figure out, but
Right.
again, there's a lot to it other than just, hey, we're gonna forgive some abnormal water bills, you know what I mean?
Right.
We gotta figure out if it's feasible and stuff like that, but again,
And again, I reiterate what I say consistently, which is we really need to get to a monthly water billing because it's the quarterly billing that
yeah.
is a large measure of the
And,
problem.
and you can have monthly water billing, you just have to ask for it. They will accommodate monthly water billing. That is an
costs
option.
money to.
It does cost money to
Who's
swap
gonna
over to
pay for
monthly.
that?
I will give you a figure Monday on
On
that
the monthly.
because that had been discussed several months ago.
Yeah.
And we looked into that. And we had done this several years ago in the finance office, or at that point, we had considered that we had a separate water billing division, which I consolidated back into finance when I became city manager. But at any rate, we looked at the study we had done years ago and essentially updated it with today's number as, today's costs and today's volumes of bills and so on. And I can provide a number for how much additional that would, require of the city every year. And of course, we're talking about an enterprise fund, so if we want that fund to remain self-sufficient, we are probably looking at a rate increase in order to bill monthly because we're talking, I believe, six-figure kind of numbers in addition to what we're doing now. So,
And if you look at
that's kind
surrounding
of cost prohibitive.
municipalities, they still, a lot of them are quarterly. I really haven't found anybody who's actually doing just full monthly, because again, as Councilmember Fuller said, it does cost money to swap the entire town to a monthly billing. You're talking about sending everybody every month a water bill, 8,000 something residents, that's a lot of money.
I don't disagree. I just,
But we are looking at the different aspects, hoping to bring something in September to council on some ideas. But again, just very preliminary stuff, looking into what are our options. And Jim messaged me over something that was very interesting to me, which was an additional assurance that basically kind of feeds back to the city if somebody does have like an abnormal water bill essentially. But it's an insurance for the city if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
and of course, that's a policy we'd have to buy, so again,
Yeah,
there's a cost.
it is. It's always going to be an extra cost.
A couple things on that line. The mayor had asked me to look into a few different aspects of our water system. And one of the complaints that we frequently hear, and this is not, we don't do this differently than anybody else who operates a water and sewer system, but the idea of billing for the water that goes through the meter as opposed to trying to measure the sewerage. Pretty much generally, I would say it's safe to say nobody is doing that with a municipal system. But a lot of times folks will argue because they see, that the sewer rate is twice what the water rate is. So they argue the point of, well, I washed my car, or I filled the pool, or I watered the lawn, and that didn't go down the drain. So we did kind of just a quick sampling of some dry weather flows at the wastewater treatment plant when we don't have, groundwater infiltrating. And we went back, looked at what we pumped for that day, applied our standard, like our annual loss figure, because we do have water that is pumped that doesn't go through people's meters. When we have a water main break, when there's firefighting and they use the hydrants, we measure that, but it's not billed. So we applied that loss factor to some of the daily pumping figures on dry days at the wastewater treatment plant. And even on those dry days, we're within 5% of the number that goes through people's meters getting to the plant. And actually the flows to the plant are slightly higher than what goes through the meters. So we still obviously have an I&I issue. Even on dry days, we have groundwater infiltrating. But, the idea that we're treating less, because, and while I think most folks would recognize that, the usage to wash a car or water the flower garden is pretty minimal when you're measuring things in thousands of gallons, that this little exercise was, I think, pretty informative, that it really shows that the ratio of what goes through the meter or the amount that goes through the meter is really close to what flows in at the wastewater plant. So it kind of, helps dismiss that argument, so to speak. And with regard to the idea of the insurance against the excessive water bills, the vendor that does the service line warranties here in the city, they offer basically this program where municipalities can have this policy, and it can be spread across the ratepayers. We might have an opt-out opportunity for people that don't want it, but I think that, and I need to learn more, they're gonna send some additional information, but the idea would be, while like the water line warranty helps repair for somebody's water line or sewer line if it's broken or something like that, or has a leak, it doesn't cover the use, the water that, that runs through the meter when they have a broken pipe or whatever. This would cover those individuals and make the city whole. So without it being out of pocket for the homeowner. And, if that's something that we want to look into, we'll get some more information about it. But I know there's been some talk about, how high people's bills can get from one quarter to the next without people realizing.
Yep, and just to iterate on it, we are aware of it. We are aware of the complaints that we received regarding it. And again, we're looking at what aspects we can. As the city manager said, we are looking over different options. So again, while we're still working on it, we'll probably bring it up for discussion in September if we have more updates on what we've been looking at. Does council have any questions, comments, concerns that they'd like to bring up regarding it?
Just one thing that just occurred to me sitting here, is there any way, I know we collect the meter data remotely, correct?
Yes.
Is there any way to collect the data on a monthly basis and look for spikes? Even if you're not analyzing each individual, I mean, you should be able to, spikes ought to be pretty clear.
Yeah, and we have a report that we can run through the billing system that identifies things over a certain threshold, and those are the people that typically each quarter we will call. It kind of depends. If their history is just all over the place, we probably won't reach out to them. But if somebody's got a pretty steady usage history, and we see that there's a spike, those are the people that we try to reach if we have a phone number for them, or we can find them in the online white pages.
Right.
If we can't reach them, sometimes we'll leave a notice on the door, which doesn't always go well for us, even though we're trying to give them a heads up early. Hey, your water bill is going to be high because we noticed this anomaly in your usage. But that would be, there would be additional cost for that, but not the same
But
level
not
as
as
paying for
much as it would
postage
do
and
to
printing
the-
the bills and so on, yes. And we do have the opportunity, now this is something we've talked about in broad terms of updating our meter system so that we could do remote reading from the city office.
Right.
And we've started to kind of build the system by which we could do that, but it would be having to put in we'd have to replace a number of meters to be able to do that, but that would be an opportunity where the technology does exist for us basically to read from the city office. So, for example, a final read request when a property is going to settlement, we go out and we provide a reading so that the current homeowner pays to that point, and then and it's taken care of at the settlement table, and then the new owner starts with a clean slate. The technology is out there for us to be able to do that from the city office instead of sending a guy in a truck out there to do it. So we are exploring that, but there of course is cost associated with getting set up for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any additional comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, we're going over to the next one. New business, police department promotion procedure. Do we have any I'm not sure if you guys had a chance to look through that. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns? This is, council asked for a procedure for the actual promotion process from the police department. They presented that here.
I would like, there are some things that are a little vague in how this is written. And since Major STEM is now on board, I would like to see Major STEM review this first before it comes back to us. Everybody,
I agree.
Are y'all in consensus of that? Anybody not?
Whatever they want.
That's fine. Jim, let's have Major Sim look over it and
I will,
give his insight
do
in
so, yep.
on it as well.
yeah. And just a quick administrative thing on page, I guess it's page 76 of that, there's like a bold or that's supposed to be an and or. Just when I read it, I thought that was a little weird, but Major Mitchell clarified that was just a typo. It's supposed to be and/or. But we'll ask Major STEM to have a look at it and provide any comments or recommendations.
If, when Major Sim gets done with this, is council okay with a special session to actually go over it? Again, just to iterate, the police department has been waiting a while on this promotion process. Is there anybody that would be against that idea? I'll have the city manager kind of arrange a special meeting whenever Major Sim has had a chance to review this and get us back his feedback on the process.
Attorney Golo, is this something that can be done by email rather than actually having to come back here and have a meeting?
The last part of what you said faded out. Could you repeat that?
Is this something that can be done by email to approve this instead of actually having to have us all come back and meet?
Typically, this is an administrative thing that's handled internally, but the council is the one that put the parameters on the actions the acting chief could take. So the council has to determine is you have made it so that it needs to come back to you. It normally wouldn't have to come back to you in a normal situation.
So it sounds like it has to come back to you guys. So is there a consensus for a special meeting whenever this has been reviewed, approved, and ready to go? Again, they have been waiting a while on this promotion process. Anybody adamantly against it?
No.
Sounds like we have consensus to have another session should we get that back before the next one.
Okay. And if I could ask while we're on this, if you do have specific comments or concerns, please, let me know what they are so that, we can be working on them before we meet again.
Yeah.
So,
I just got to read it today, so.
And, if anybody is interested, I can see if we can get you a Word version of it that, if you want to go in and track changes and send, a revised copy back to me. I would rather not try to revise this back and forth via email because we don't want to run risk of any,
Okay, yeah.
non-open meetings type stuff.
Yep.
But anyhow, look it over, please let me know if you have something specific about it, and that'll, help maybe focus in what the areas of concern are.
Next, we have the approval of special event permit, Maryland Horse Rescue Fundraising Concert Memorial Park, September 17th, 2023. Do I have any questions, comments, or concerns from council? Hearing none, before we get to public comment on the agenda items, I just want to give council and the public an update on the police chief process. As of now, I've received interest from about 5 candidates. We have 3 actual applications, 1 paper application, somebody who says they're going to be putting an application here soon. Again, this is a little bit below the desired range for a comprehensive selection process. As such, we're going to extend the deadline until September 15th from the end of August to hopefully maybe attract some more candidates. We've also gone ahead and changed some of the requirements on the process or requirements from the candidate. to again, hopefully attract some more applicants. As September 1st approaches, if we're still just not seeing enough applicants, we'll again kind of address some of the items for the requirements, address some of the application process and see what we can do. We've been looking to broaden our search as best as we can. We've tried reaching out to multiple agencies. And again, as we extend this application deadline, we're gonna again go back out to try to figure out more ways that we can get this advertised. As I've got feedback from officers and others from different policing agencies, one of the big concerns is just the climate for the police department in the town right now. Having lost a couple police chiefs, and then the last person who applied for the police chief having been selected for it and then non-selected or withdrawn his application for it. Again, it's just a very weird climate for people looking at the actual application process. We're trying to clear that up. I believe Major Stem being here will also help kind of clear that up. Hopefully get some applicants showing that our police department is somewhere that you want to be at, somewhere that you want to be the police chief of. And I'll have another update for you guys in September on that, as well as the public. I'll keep you guys updated as far as where we're at in the process, but working as hard as we can to try to get that applicant pool bigger so we can find a good police chief for our town here. As always, thank everybody for their understanding, and I know it's been a long time, especially to the officers. We're trying to get it done. Next, did council have any questions or comments or concerns on that process so far? I wanted to give you guys a chance to ask anything if you had anything. Hearing none, going to the public comment pertaining to agenda items.
Mr. Mayor, esteemed council members, thank you for your time. Ron Shelton, otherwise known as Phoenix King on Facebook. I'm hoping to become a familiar face here. It's my first session, not really sure how things work. Had a couple of things I wanted to ask. One thing, the budget numbers that we were discussing earlier, where would one such as myself find those numbers, the budget agenda things to look at and go over? And two, I spoke with you briefly on Messenger about the issue with George Street when they painted the yellow lines. They only painted half the yellow line, and it's causing issues with the Carroll Transit, the bus, the blue bus, because someone is living in that house on the corner of George Street, and they parked their car where the yellow line used to be. You can see the old yellow line, and when the painters painted the new yellow lines, they didn't go back as far as the old yellow line was. And it causes issues with the bus being able to pull up to that bus stop, and that is an active bus stop. So that was something that, I was asking to be looked into. And also the drain at the end of the street there. It gets a lot of leaf and grass and stuff built up on top of it. It's not paper trash or anything like that. It's grass and just junk like that builds up on it. And then when we get a real heavy rain, it floods that sidewalk area right there. So that's something I thought maybe the guys that drive the red trucks, they go up and down George Street all the time. They could keep an eye on the drains to make sure that the rain drains are open. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the chickens. I'm with Councilman McCarron. If you don't open the door for a problem, there is no problem. And agriculturally, am I right? Salmonella is in their feces also. So where if you open the Pandora's box to these chickens, you're not only dealing with the possible avian influenza, you're dealing with the possibility of salmonella. And where are they going to put all the feces at? Most people are going to spread it in their yard as fertilizer. Okay, so they spread it in their yard as fertilizer. They have a cookout, and somebody comes over, and they're running around the yard in bare feet, and they've got a cut on their foot, and they step in some chicken pieces, and it has salmonella in it. Well, now they've got salmonella, and they start spreading it, and we've got people that are sick and dying from salmonella. But guess what? We got a piece of paper signed by somebody saying that they're going to take, and that's going to cover everything. A piece of paper signed by somebody saying that they're going to take care of the chickens properly. But we opened the door to the problem. There is no problem right now, so why open the door to it?
Very easy to understand at this point.
Yeah, exactly. That's my thing.
So on the chickens, just to reiterate, the problem is the door was kind of already opened. It was, someone had brought up the question, and then someone from the city basically said, hey, you can have chickens, we don't really enforce it. And that's what led down this road. The idea is this will actually allow us to hopefully have better enforcement of the chickens. Because right now, if you went and got a chicken put in your backyard, not all too much we could do about it. If you post on Facebook, hey, am I allowed to have chickens? They're going to tell you, yeah, you can have chickens. Taneytown's not going to enforce it. So the idea is that really you could have chickens because we have no way to enforce it. This is hopefully going to beef up our ability to actually enforce chickens.
I just think it puts extra burden on us, as he was saying, for the enforcement. And we already have it on the books that you're not supposed to have them. Why, if you're going to take and put extra enforcement on it, why not just take the enforcement and then put it in there and say, no, you can't have the chickens? We already have it on the book that you can't have the chickens, so let's enforce that. Rather than put in new enforcement regulations that somebody has to go out there with a tape measure, measure everything, make sure it's hunky-dory, and take the possibility that down the road we've got a avian influenza outbreak or salmonella outbreak. I just think it's smart to avoid. My dad used to tell me an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. You don't open the door to a problem, you're not going to have the problem. That's just my 2 cents on that.
Thank you. No, thank you.
Now, as far as the financials, where would I find that information?
There should be papers over there that include it.
I've got all the stuff, the agenda stuff from tonight, but like the financial report, the budgetary stuff.
It should.
Not the budget amendment, but the financial report that they talked about towards the end.
Right, the stuff
Okay.
we were
Okay.
talking about earlier, like the police cars and the 300,000 and this.
Okay, that was the
That
budget
was-
amendment.
yeah,
That
that's
should
on
be
those.
on the table there.
That's on the, in the pic, oh, okay, that's down, okay, thank you. That's what I wanted. And as far as George Street goes, were you able to find anything out?
I know we've talked about it once before.
Can you give the approximate street address of where the yellow
It's
paint
right
was?
on the corner of George Street and 140.
George and 140,
As you
okay.
turn onto George Street, the yellow line, when they repainted it, they didn't go all the way back. And you can see where the yellow line was all the way back,
Okay.
but they only came like halfway.
Okay.
It's right on the very corner of George and 140.
I'll have Public Works look into it. If I can get a
Okay.
contact number for you to let you know what we find in the next couple days, that'd be great.
Very good.
So,
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I gotta ask this question, because I need to know it. Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. Abrecht, haven't seen you since you became city manager. Last time I talked to you, you were part of the zoning still. This bypass thing, it's been in the works for, I don't know, I've been a citizen of Taneytown for over 40 years now. This thing's been in the works for over 20 years. And I have a question to ask. What good is a bypass that runs the wrong way around town where we're building houses on the other side? Wouldn't it make more sense to take the ground that we're building all these houses over on this side of town, put the bypass there so people can get to their houses? And I don't know if anybody can ask me. I signed a petition against it, and I don't believe I voted for it when it came for election time. Did Sewell's Farm get annexed into Taneytown?
Sewell's Farm was annexed into Taneytown. The petition didn't pass.
It didn't pass? So we're not building 300 houses right there?
We're not building, so it has been annexed into the town.
Okay,
Sewell's Farm has.
okay.
The petition to put it to referendum to where you could vote on it in the election didn't get enough signatures.
Okay. Now, you guys want to make a bypass around Antrim Boulevard and go around the industrial park and put a roadway through all that farmland that residents of Taneytown, you know, that's the way they make their money. Why not go cut across 140 over to Sells Mill Road and go up Roberts Mill Road and make a bypass all around all these brand new houses that we've built, and it will bypass around 2 highways across 194, go around Sewell's Farm where you guys propose to build 300 more houses. 300 more houses means 700 more cars on Main Street. We can't handle the cars we have right now on Main Street. Wouldn't it make sense for them people to be able to get home faster that way instead of going around the other way? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it for a minute. I'm just putting an idea out there because I'm just a guy. What are we doing for the infrastructure for this city when it's already taxed to the limit now as it is? To build 300 more homes. Where are we putting the water? Where are we putting the sewer? Where are we putting the water drainage from the rainwater? Where's all that going to go? How many millions of dollars, billions, maybe $1 billion? That's a big project, man. Can this town really afford that? That's a lot of money right there for 300 more homes. I mean, are we making Main Street four lanes?
This part right here is specifically for agenda items. That's where the non-agenda item at the beginning of the meeting.
I thought this was an agenda item. I thought I saw you guys talked about it during the agenda for the bypass. So this is in relation to that.
We haven't, tonight we have no discussion as far as the bypass and the actual agenda goes.
Okay, well, we're talking water discussion. I'm asking about where's this water coming from to put this development in? Where's the water coming from?
So we haven't, there is no houses being built yet.
Okay.
As far as, I mean, we've seen the initial concept plan, but that's about it.
Okay.
It hasn't actually been presented for an approval or anything like that to council, as far as I'm aware, city manager, correct?
For Sewell, nothing.
Sewell's, yeah, for Sewell's, nothing.
We have an adequate public facilities ordinance that requires anyone who develops in the town has to provide for the services that they're going to use. So the Planning and Zoning Commission
Okay.
is charged in making sure that if someone wants to develop a particular piece of land, there's adequate water, there's adequate sewer, there's adequate infrastructure, and that our facilities can handle it. In other words, we just don't blanketly approve a development. It goes through a very long process, sometimes lasting years. Means Crossing out there lasted 10, 11 years before it was able to be built because of all the hoops that we had to jump.
Well, I know a lot of the land was locked in agriculture or whatever, or
Well,
for preservation.
The point is, we planned development. We don't develop anything unless it's planned. In other words, if we can't handle the impact that a new development will create, we don't allow the new development. It's as simple as that.
But, yeah, I just wanted to ask questions. Also, oh my God, short-term memory loss. Oh, I don't know. I don't know what the other question was. I completely forgot about it. But, yeah, I mean, you know, as far as you guys, going with, like I said, I've been here. My father used to manage the southern states here in town. You know, I grew up down here on York Street, you know, I got on the school bus, I did all that. I mean, and I remember where the police station's sitting right now, he worked there too, where the old feed mill was. So, yeah, I've been around here for a long time, and, you know, I lived on Trevanion Road, and we were in the county, and now we're in the city. And the whole development across the street from there used to be nothing but a field. You know, I've been here a long time, and this place has grown quite immensely. And I sell firewood around town. You guys know who I am. I don't have to explain that to myself or anybody else in this room, I'm pretty sure. You've all heard about me, whether it's good or bad or both. And I'll take it. I'll take it. But I've had people come up to me and ask, and you know, Dave, what are they going to do if they build all? I mean, Main Street's so busy right now. Like between the hours of 3 and 6, you can barely get through down Main Street. And they're like, and our infrastructure is already taxed to the minute. So I'm coming here on behalf of some of my customers and my clients, and asking you guys, what are we going to do about this?
Yeah,
Because it is a problem. It really is a problem. I know you guys are reworking Roberts Mill and Broad Street and all that stuff. Hopefully some of it's for rainwater damage, because the other year when we had that horrendous storm, Roberts Mill Road was a river.
No, I appreciate it. Again, I don't mean to cut you off. It is a 3-minute time limit as far as speaking goes, but I do
all right,
want,
no problem, no problem.
but I do want to, again, Sewell's Farm, as far as I'm aware, we haven't actually approved anything council-wise regarding Sewell's Farm for development. The other thing is like Councilmember McCarron said, is we just don't approve developments without making sure that there's adequate facilities there in place to actually support those. So when we get to the point of actually approving developments, the town will know, the citizens will know to come voice their concerns and everything like that. But again, it won't just be, hey, we're going to go ahead and do it, even though we don't have the stuff yet. The idea is we can't actually proceed with it until we have met the requirements to start that. And again, we're still talking a while on anything like that. And
all I'm doing, sir, Mr. Mayor, is I'm here on behalf of some people who asked me to ask the questions.
No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Not a problem. You guys have a good night.
No, have a good night.
Good evening. It's Jacob Ballhaus from 301 East Baltimore Street. I have a question about the water bill due to the construction that's on Broad Street, not from the construction itself. The road never gets closed, never, because people that live, I guess, in the surrounding area decides they're gonna open the road up every night. They move all the cones, they move everything. And it's a dirt road. My house is now brown. You can go next to my house and wipe your hand on it, your hand turns brown. So I power washed. And I talked to Jim and the mayor and everything. I'm just asking for a little bit of help from the water bill for cleaning off dirt off my house due to the road not actually being closed ever. I mean, there's ways to close it. I'm the only house from Main Street to the alley. I'm not sure what the alley's name is. Jim, do you know the alley's name?
Cortland.
Cortland. So it's only me, basically, from that to that. And that's where they fly up the road. The one maintenance guy, Randy, I believe his name is, watched them on one evening going up the road, watched trucks going flying up the road and see how much dust they can throw in the air. I'm not asking for the whole water bill. I'm just asking for, I said to Jim, $50 or so, just for help for power washing to get the stuff off my house. I don't know what else to, I'm not blaming the town. but I don't want to get blamed for it either. I mean, I don't want to have to clean my house because the construction crews had never put water down on the dirt. Once I started complaining, they started putting rocks down, which stopped. But the rocks get beat into the dirt, and then you get more dirt, and it flies all in the air again. The whole thing, that whole area is nothing but dirt right now. And I'm just, don't know what else to say or who else to talk to.
Any comments, questions, or concerns from council? I mean, this is, again, as I addressed it, the biggest thing would be there's still construction going on the road, so power washing it while the construction's still going on, it's just gonna get dirty
Well, I
again.
stopped. I mean, I talked
Yeah.
to Jim, and Jim said, just don't do it till it's done, which I
Yeah.
understood, but from when I did it, it was brown. It was like the color of this table. My house is supposed to be yellow. It was brown. Since they put the rocks down, it's not so bad now. I haven't power washed since, but I got my water bill in the mail. So that's when I called Jim and started talking to him, and it's been weeks now till I had to wait for this date to come here and talk to you guys.
Jim, do you have any comments for it?
Just, Mr. Bauhaus kind of reiterated what he and I have talked with, and I think what he talked with you, Mr. Mayor, about as well. I did not, when Mr. Bauhaus had contacted us after he power washed, but before the water bill for the quarter had been, before the meters were read and the bills were sent out, I did not agree to provide relief on his water bill. So, he wanted to take it to the next step. So that's where we are.
I would just say that $50 is an awful lot. I mean, my water bill for a quarter is about $300. So you're talking about a half a month's water bill that you want back. And I think it's out of proportion with how much water you would use to power wash the side of your house. I just think it's a little much.
I mean, it's frustrating just because, like Jim said, that my water bill seemed to go down because they went through the months or whatever it was, the quarters. And I've been trying to save the water. But when you have to clean up your house every day because you're walking through dirt just to get into your own house, I mean, nowhere else on the road's like that. They don't have it anywhere else on the road. Everywhere else on the road has machinery stuck there, or the cars don't fly up and down the road right there. Never do. It's the house is over. I said $50 just because I sat there for hours power washing. And I know, like you said, it's a month's worth or whatever, but it's still, I don't see how it's my fault.
I'm not saying that it is, sir. Believe me, I understand and I feel your pain, and I'm in the construction business myself. So I get it when, construction happens and creates dust and noise and dirt that you didn't ask for. But sometimes there isn't a whole lot that can be done about it. We can, take your complaints about people using the road and try to do what we can and ask the contractor to do what he can. But beyond that, sir, wish we could be more helpful, but I really don't see it.
It would hurt the town to help out for $50.
It's probably more about the precedence. If we give you $50, then you kind of have to do it for everybody that comes in with some kind of an issue. And while I do understand and I sympathize, power washing is more of a cosmetic thing. It wasn't a necessity. I get it, it's dirty. It's a pain in the butt. I mean, I got an old house. It's dusty all the time. It doesn't matter what I do. And we had streetscape, we had everybody up and down the road that had to deal with that for however many years that was. You just, it stinks.
I'm not sure what streetscape is.
Right, and that's it. So imagine what you are going through right now for 2 years. We went through winters, I had trucks come down my alleyway backwards and take out my street signs and crack my sidewalk, and it was a nightmare. But it was all part of the construction.
But who paid for all that to be fixed?
No,
So nobody fixed your sidewalk?
no, actually, I went through insurance and they wouldn't cover it because it couldn't be proven that it was done by the truck.
Well, I can prove it though. I have photos of it. And
But again, it's a cosmetic thing. Like, you don't have anything physically wrong with your house. house. It's a cosmetic thing. Like, it's, I know you want your house to look nice, and it will when the construction is done, but.
It will once I
nobody-
have to pay to clean it. I shouldn't have to.
Well, what do you do when it gets dirty over time or gets the green mold or mildew on it anyway? I mean, it's
That's
just,
from-
it's maintenance.
It's maintenance from years' worth. This is just because this road never gets closed.
Well, then maybe the mayor could talk to the city staff when we have to, take some of that water out of the water tank, and they can bring you over a couple 100 gallons of water, and you can use that for washing your house.
Again, the biggest thing would be the people going up and down the road it isn't the city going up and down the road. Well, yes, we are doing the construction on the road. We're not really liable for the dust that people are bringing up onto your house from them driving up and down the road. That road is still available to people who live on that road as well. And there is people that drive up and down that road who live on that road. And it isn't just Broad Street that's going through the construction process. It's most of Roberts Mill. There's a lot of people going through this process. And again, it sets a precedence of, should we pay for everybody to have their houses power washed for it? Construction.
It's a precedence when you go ask the police officers in town about it, and they tell you they don't go up that road because of the construction. I've stopped and talked to numerous of them. They won't go up the road. And then once I talked to Jim about it, one cop will go up about midnight, just drive straight up and leave when the party house is next door with 15 cars outside and kids doing donuts outside. But the cops won't stop because there's no call for it. And what am I supposed to do? Call about the neighbors doing what? I mean, driving, and then they'll say, oh, I didn't do donuts. They did it outside your gaming place when you were there, burning tires in the alleyway. I mean, it's only that one spot. It's not the whole rest of the road. It's not all the construction. And you can physically see it if you walk down the road. It's not the houses after the garage, after the pony. It's the corner.
Again, the people going up and down that road, it's still going to be the whole road. That whole road is still open. I've seen people go up and down that road. Those houses are still getting dusty too, but it's hard because again, Broad Street, Broad Street affected me too. I wouldn't go down Broad Street because of the construction that was going on.
That's why they put the detours up that nobody listens to, and they just open the road up whenever they want.
The problem is you
And that's
can't
the-
shut that off to everybody. Or you can't, without shutting it completely off to everybody, including people who live there and need to use that road. It's a dilemma that there is no answer
Part of
for.
construction, and the city is not liable for those people driving up and down those road creating that
I
dust.
mean, that's why I'm saying, I'm here because Randy told me different, the guy that's running the thing over there. He wanted to shut it down, but he got too many complaints and you guys opened it back up for through traffic, when then they just moved all the cones. You put detours up for the alleyways, you don't have to use that one stretch of road, but supposedly too many people complained and they opened it up.
There's a lot of people who live on that road. There's a lot of people who need to use that road. There is still people going up and down that road, but again, I think it's mainly people who live there. I don't know many people that are purposely going up and down Broad Street. A lot of the people that I've seen go up and down that road are people who live on that road. There's people who still park on that road. It's just a road. It's part of construction. Unless council's willing to entertain some relief on it, you've heard me and the city manager's response on it, which I'm not getting a consensus for them on that relief from what it's looking like.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional public comment? We are down to the adjournment. Just to check, Jim, we need a motion to adjourn, right? Sounds good. I'm looking for a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn. I'll second Jim's motion.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Thank you all. Thank you.